The next thing that I want to talk to you is data source. A data source is an object that provides a way for JDBC clients to obtain a DBMS connection. So basically, it's just a way of you obtaining a connection to your database. This data source entry then points to a connection pool. So the reason why there's a connection pool is because connections to database is expensive. So opening and closing a connection is expensive. So what you get with the data source is a connection pool. So this connection pool, and then inside of the connection pool, there's already connections which are ready to be used. So if you have a client that wants to connect to your database, so this client right here, and when I mean a client, I mean basically a statement which is invoked. So a thread which is invoked from your backend. Maybe you want to select all customers, for example. So for that, you have to obtain the connection and then perform the query and then close the connection, right? So basically the client looks into the connection pool for ready available connections. So this way it doesn't have to open and close the connection itself. So having the connection, it's very important. And usually when you start up your application, you'll see that there's already connections which are available and ready for you to use. Now, in this example, you see that we have, I think it's 6 right here. So 6 connections to our database in here. And we have 3 which are being used and then 3 which are unused. So if there's a new client that wants to use a connection, it just uses this one. If there's one more client, let's say 6 clients, then they basically use this connection here. Now, one thing to bear in mind is, so if this client right here uses this connection, it doesn't use the connection forever, right? Because otherwise there'll be a starvation of connections and you don't want that to happen. So usually when a client obtains a connection, it obtains the connection, it performs the query, and boom, off he goes, and then it releases the connection for the next client in line. And I'll show you this in a second. The other thing is, so when we configure the data source here, we actually have to specify the URL, username, password, as well as the driver. And you've seen this in a second, and I'll show you again. Now for data sources, there's 2 popular ones. So Ikari CP, so Ikari Connection Pool, or Tomcat CP. So these are 2 popular connection pools available in Java. So if I open up IntelliJ, and in here, if I click on run, if I scroll up, hopefully we should see the initial statement, the initial logs. So you can see that we've got this Spring logo in here. Then in here, have a look. So if you look carefully, you should see that com dot and then Zaxer and then Ikari data source and also the pool. So this is the connection pool that I was talking about. So basically this is already configured for you as soon as you configure the application.yaml. So here, Spring data source, and then here, right? So this is basically what instantiates the data source for you. Now, obviously, if you want to instantiate this object yourself, you can do it. And that way you can have full control of it, including its parameters and how it gets instantiated. But for us, it's fine to have it like so, because we don't need to do anything special. The other thing that I'm going to do is, within my terminal, if I do docker exec -it and then Postgres and then bash in here, and inside, let's just say psql -u and then amigos code. And if I do a \l, you can see that we have amigos code, customer. So this is our database called customer. So let's, for example, try to drop and then database and then customer. So basically we want to delete customer. If we try to do this, you should see that this will fail. So you can see that it's taking a while, and it's failing because database customer is being accessed by other users. There are 10 other sessions in this database. Now, if you want to see all of these sessions, you can say select and then star from and then pg stat activity semicolon in here. And in fact, let me just press Ctrl C backslash and then X for extend the display on. And in here, let's just select star from pg stat activity and check this out. So here we've got one record, then the second one, and you should see that here. Have a look. So the application name, JDBC driver, and again JDBC driver. So these are the connections already to our database. So remember the connection pool that I was telling you about? So here we have connections which are already established and ready to be used by clients in here. And obviously you can do a select to select fewer columns, but I just want to show you, right? So here you can see I think it's database name, but you have the username, the application name in here. So this is JDBC driver, and it doesn't give us too much information here, but I just want to show you this in case you need to look at it. Awesome. So if I press backslash and then X again to turn off extended display off, and we are good to go.